What's going on, guys? So for as long as these 2023-2024 Super Duties have been out, believe it or not, there are a limited number of products for them. And I'm not saying you can't find products and accessories for them. I'm just going to say they're a little bit more difficult to find, and there aren't quite the number of different competing products that you can find. That said, I will be installing a product that you are very familiar with on my channel, and another one that you're very familiar with on my channel today. I'm not going to go through the entire installation, only because there are tons and tons and tons of videos showing how to install this, probably a lot better than the way I install it. I've installed like 4 of these now, so I'm going to just simply go through the process putting it on. This is the Access Toolbox tonneau cover. It's a roll-up tonneau cover from the folks over at Access. My channel sponsor etrailer.com sent this stuff to me. They are an absolutely fantastic resource if you're looking for things for your truck, for your SUV, for your tow vehicle, for your trailer itself. I mean, they carry just about everything, including floor mats, bed covers, bed liners, everything. Hitches, accessories, all sorts of crazy stuff. But this is something they absolutely carry. It's specifically designed for a truck with a toolbox. I'm going to talk about that real quick. Then we'll install this off camera and come back and give you kind of an overview of how that went. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so first and foremost, like I said, that this tonneau cover is specifically designed to work behind your standard 20-inch deep toolbox. Now, I guess you could probably say this is the width, that's the depth, and that's also kind of the depth, maybe the height. But this specific toolbox is a very similar length to most toolboxes, which is 20 inches. There are some that are significantly taller, but I think most people by now realize that I have this one specifically because it is compatible with the fifth wheel. The fifth wheel overhang is right around here versus making contact with the taller toolbox like my weather guard toolbox that I used to have. Now, in order for me to maintain this toolbox with a bed cover, I need to get a toolbox specific bed cover. There are a few of them out there. Xtang makes one. The folks over at Access, of course, make one. That's the one we're putting on today. As well as, actually, Xtang makes 2 of them. And there may even be a couple other brands out there. The problem with some of them are that they are kind of a tri-fold setup to where you fold it over and then one more time, and it is still taking up like this much of your bed even when it's folded over, which if you look at my truck, that's almost to the halfway point, and that's not acceptable to me. I need something that I can roll all the way up to here. It's still going to be low profile, and it gives me access to pretty much the entire bed while also concealing and covering up what might be in the bed of my truck. Now, I don't always have valuable, expensive things in the bed of my truck, but it is certainly a good idea to conceal what you have, only because it keeps people from accessing stuff that, you don't want to access your truck whenever it's parked. Now, down here is the Access bed mat. This is made out of a 1/2-inch thick marine grade foam with carpet on top of it, and this actually rests in the bed of your truck. Now, you might ask, why would you put something like this in the bed of a truck that already has a factory spray-in bed liner on it? Well, the fact is that this is very, very painful on your knees if you're crawling around inside of the bed of your truck. It also can scratch things up that may be moving around in the bed of your truck. And in some cases, you just want something a little softer. Let's say you're going to take the kids fishing. You're going to have friends that are going to use the back of your truck as more of an entertainment spot. That works really well, and because it's marine grade and it doesn't hold on to water, you don't have to worry about it getting all nasty, mildewy, or any of that. This, of course, is going to protect the base of the bed, and the fact that the bed is made out of aluminum means you're never going to deal with rust in the first place. So having a cover like that can work really, really well, especially in conjunction with a bed cover. So both of these products are Access products, and they're available from etrailer.com, my official channel sponsor. And again, there are other toolbox type bed covers, but out of every single one on the market, this in my opinion is the best, because it's the most flexible, it's the lowest profile, and it looks really nice and flat whenever you have it closed. You don't see a lot of seams or creases or anything like that. I do wish that they made a retractable style bed cover that worked, and I have seen somebody just recently at the last RV park we went to had a Denali with an 8-foot bed on it, and he actually took a Retrax cover, he cut it down so it would fit behind his toolbox. The only challenge I have with that is that the cassette that holds everything is then sticking out about 8 to 10 inches off of your toolbox and down about a foot as well, so you lose that space. Whereas with this Access one, when I roll it up here, I can actually kind of lift the whole assembly up like this and use most of my bed, which is nice, especially the space underneath it. But we're gonna go ahead and get this on, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like. We'll probably put that one on last, actually. So we'll get this on first, then we'll go ahead and throw that in. Okay, so we are pretty much done with the bed cover. It took me all of about 35 minutes to get put on. Super, super simple when you're not trying to reposition a camera everywhere. They made a slight improvement to it, but you also have to go into these things with an expectation, understanding that it's never going to be perfect. And what I mean by that is it's never going to be completely watertight. So don't expect it to be. If you go into almost any bed cover being completely watertight, the first time you go to a car wash, the first time you use a pressure sprayer, you're going to see water get in the bed. Sure, some perform a little better than others, but what you have to understand with this type of setup is that your biggest, I guess, common point of water ingress is going to be where the toolbox overlaps the rails. They have this header beam right here that goes on first, and it's got a big gasket and it compresses up against the front of your toolbox. But they made an improvement in this over the previous generation. The previous one that I had on my last truck for 7 years, plus the one before that that I had on my previous truck for 3 years, had a different type of setup. So at the end of this header beam, it was boxed off. So whenever you use the clamps to clamp it in place, you'd be clamping directly against this. Now they put a little slide wedge that slides into this and it clamps up against the edge. So you get a better seal and you're not trying to pull the bed together whenever you clamp up against this directly. I hope that all makes sense. Basically, it improves your seal between this header beam and your bed. And you can see the piece right there where it slides in whenever you clamp into it. That's a really, really great improvement. And it was one that was definitely needed. Now next, everything else was pretty much the same as my previous ones. 4 clamps on each side, and they butt up against this. Then you got your other track on this side, 4 clamps as well, right here. Very, very easy to install. And this simply goes up against the end. You have a little groove with an adjustment knob in here to allow you to make micro adjustments either in or out, just so this closes up true and lines up correctly. So we have not had a chance to close this up yet. Let's see if it's dialed in pretty much the way they had it set, or if I'm gonna need to make any changes to it. All right, so when I clamp it down over this edge, you got this drawstring which pulls in the ends to open it, which I really like. Some of them you have to reach inside and you have to pull right here. This one gives you this string which comes in real handy. We put it over the edge and let me see how it looks. So right now I can't close it, it's too tight, which means I need to loosen those little screw adjustments at the end. And then I'll simply put this up here. These are the adjustments I'm talking about. So what I want to do is I want to adjust the whole thing this way slightly so it fits properly. So I'm actually going to tighten it, and that's going to bring it in a little bit. You can probably see it coming in right here, which actually brings this whole top part in slightly. And again, this also helps you align it. All right, now let's see what happens. Over the end. Perfect. Now you may see some wrinkles right here. And if you have wrinkles, this is all you do. You take the sides, and all these pretty much work the same in that sense. Go to this side. And you can take it off of the other side to give you the slack you might need on this side, because right now there's definitely too much slack on this side. Like that. And then over here, I should have plenty of slack now to go ahead and close it up. There we go. There we go. Check it out. This is a really, really good option for folks with a fifth wheel because it does give you the ability to roll it all the way up to the front right here, lock it in place, and it gives you your whole bed. And on top of that, because everything kind of rests above the rails, you get a lot of interior space in here. So really, really comes in handy. I definitely recommend it. The testimony of this is the fact that the truck that I had previous had one of these on it for 7 years. I never had one tear. I never had one piece of the vinyl covering come off. I never had one delamination. I never had one issue with that other than when I had the Vanley beacon for a while because of the pin box and how it was situated. When I would try to make a 90-degree turn, it would make contact with the inner rail right here. And I believe Chad also had that issue from changing lanes with his tonneau cover, so he switched to the Xtang solid fold toolbox, which is the one I was talking about, where it folds 3 times. It's really, really large if you keep it in place, so he opts to remove it to throw it in the garage of his toy hauler whenever they're traveling. But for me, this works better. I think it is a really, really clean look. It's affordable. It's only about $500 compared to a lot of tonneau covers, which are upwards of $1,000+, especially if you get like a Retrax or the type that fold with multiple panels all the way to the front. And it works in conjunction with a low profile toolbox, which I really like because I have full access to the latches on my toolbox. And it looks really nice, clean and flat. And I think that that's what most people are looking for. But super cool product. I'll put a link in the description if this is something you're interested in. If you have a fifth wheel, you have a truck that you need a bed cover for, and you still want to be able to access the toolbox, highly recommend this. Again, about 35 minutes to install, but I have a bit of an advantage, the fact that I've installed a lot of them in previous trucks, and I've also removed them, so I know that whole process. Aside from that though, I like it. And real quick, I wanted to show you what it looks like with it open. You can see it lays a little flatter than that actually. I have it wound up real tight. Then you have clamps to hold it open so you don't have to worry about it rolling shut on you. If you're doing it with 2 hands, it opens really, really nice and smooth, even though you can do it with 1 hand. But when it's brand new, you want to kind of break the material in a little bit and it works a little bit better, especially if you're doing it with 2 hands. But yeah, it works really, really well. It doesn't take up any space beneath it down here. And it's super, super dang reliable. Very, very happy to have that. But what do you guys think? I'll throw a link in the description of this video if this is something you may be interested in. We're gonna save the bed mat for another video, mainly because there's a little more complexity to my setup because I have all of this in the middle. Anytime you have a fifth wheel hitch, you have a goose ball, something like that, it may require additional cutting if you want the two to be compatible. And you definitely want to be sure you're cutting it the right way so things fit back in, or you're not putting too much pressure on things when you're trying to remove them. And I kind of ran into that with my 2017 trying to take that bad boy out. That said, I'm a huge fan of this product. There's my old one, and I use them around the shop because they come in handy even when you're done using them on the truck. But yeah, this is a cool product, absolutely love it, and it's relatively affordable as tonneau covers go, and the fact that it's compatible with a toolbox. Just keep in mind, it's not going to be watertight. If you put things that are very, very valuable back here, it may get a little bit of water spray on it if it's raining outside. If it's heavy raining. If it's light raining, you may get some water drizzling in around the corners a little bit. If you go through a car wash, you're definitely going to get water inside. It probably won't be enough to really damage or destroy anything, but it could be. So you want to be careful. Do not assume that you can put something highly valuable that is going to be easily damaged if it gets in contact with water or liquid in the bed of this with that cover on top of it, because it will likely get damaged if you believe no water's getting in there. So just keep that in mind. However, it does do a great job, you know, of protecting things and keeping them out of other people's view, keeping the sun off of them. I mean, if I had that box back here, I probably wouldn't care because I forgot what's in that. Ground stakes. There's ground stakes inside of that box. If I had that inside here, I probably wouldn't care, you know, even if it got a little wet, because what's in the box isn't really going to get damaged. But at the end of the day, this is probably my favorite bed cover at this point, my favorite tonneau cover. I may try to switch to a new one if I find better technology that was compatible with the toolbox. I may eventually try to modify some of the retractable style ones like I have on the Denali, because I've heard really cool things about how people have done that. or I may just stick with this. I'm not sure. It really just depends on what else is available on the market, you know, in the next coming months and years. That said, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed the video. We'll do this one next time when I have more time to dedicate to cutting it out and trying to make it custom fit in that space. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.